Out to the war in Ukraine, where General Mark Milley from the United States once again doubling down on his prediction that Ukraine would fall within 72 hours if Russian forces push beyond the Dnieper River. Well, I guess it's a darn good thing that Russia decided to blow up its own hydroelectric dam to stop their own advancement. Brilliant tactical strategy on the part of the Russians to impede their advancement. The Western media is really hoping that you will buy this and believe all of this propaganda, and they are doubling down on the propaganda this afternoon. It's almost sad if it wasn't, laughable if it wasn't sad. And our redacted correspondent, Dan Cohen, is tracking all of this propaganda for us. Dan, so they're really doubling down on this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're really firm on their position that Russia did it, even though the White House has said officially that it doesn't even know. So none of the White House's statement hasn't stopped the most fervent pro-war voices from automatically blaming Russia without presenting a shred of evidence. Here's NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Twitter saying, "This is an outrageous act which demonstrates once again the brutality of Russia's war in Ukraine." Then Spanish Prime Minister and possible future replacement for Stoltenberg, Pedro Sanchez, also implies Russia was responsible. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen promises to hold Russia accountable. Clayton, I find it interesting how they don't explicitly blame Russia, but they all strongly imply Russia did it. Like that was the memo that was circulated to them, said imply, don't say it explicitly.
Right, because then the follow-up question will be, well, where is the evidence? Like the questions asked of John Kirby in the White House press briefing room, like, well, where is the evidence of this? Well, we're working through it, so that's why we are implying it, but we don't have the evidence yet. We're just implying all of this.
Exactly, but that didn't stop the Estonian foreign minister from directly blaming Russia. He said it straight up that Russia is responsible. And then here in the U.S., we have the California Congressman Ted Lieu. He blamed Russia too. He apparently knows something that even the White House, the Biden administration, and the Pentagon don't even know. We have former CIA Director David Patreus, renowned for his honesty and integrity. He says Russia did it.
This presumably was done by the Russians. There are public accounts that U.S. intelligence has indications that it was Russians. President Zelensky, of course, very publicly denied any involvement, and I cannot imagine that he would do that if there was Ukrainian involvement.
Yeah, I mean, because Zelensky would never say anything that isn't true. I mean, we literally have a laundry list of things now. The attack in Poland that was blamed on the Russians, but immediately was, turned out to be Ukraine. We have the attack on the Kremlin. We would never use America. We were not attacking the Kremlin. How dare you? And then turns out, yeah, that's the case. We would never blow up that pipeline. We would never do something like that. Turns out, yeah, you did. So I love that Patreus is giving us a moral analysis of Zelensky. It's amazing.
Yes, it's Zelensky's scout honor, with that kind of green T-shirt. I think that's the symbol, something like
right.
that. So we have Patreus saying it. We have, there are so many sound bites from the mainstream media that I kind of just went for a select few. I like this one from Michael Kaufman, who went on PBS NewsHour, which we showed here on Redacted. PBS NewsHour collaborates with CIA favorite Bellingcat, the notorious disinformation outlet. Now, Kaufman, their expert, is a fellow at the federally funded Center for Naval Analysis. This guy is paid by the U.S. government. So of course they don't say that in his bio. They don't give any disclaimer in his interview. So I like what he says. He says, even if Ukraine did it, it's Russia's fault.
Either way, Russia is responsible, either by virtue of action or by virtue of the fact that it controlled the dam. At the end of the day, the outcome of the situation is the result of Russian actions in Ukraine, one way or another.
So let me get this right. I'm going to start using that as a scapegoating tactic when I do something wrong in my life. I'm just going to blame the other person. It doesn't really matter regardless of the fact, because it's Russia's fault. It's their fault even though Ukraine blew up the dam. It's amazing. They control the dam. They built the dam. Russia built the dam. They control the dam. Their own forces have defensive positions all up in the along the river, which are now flooded and potentially destroyed. 42,000 people are being evacuated, have to leave their homes, but Russia did it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to make sense. You just go with it. I guess that's the memo that he got.
Yeah.
Then we have Zelensky advisor Andriy Yermak. He actually thanked journalists for going along with the narrative that Russia did it. It's pretty amazing. He put this out on Telegram. I mean, didn't we just learn a few days ago from the New York Times that journalists are telling Ukrainian Nazis to cover up their symbols? And now we have Yermak saying, "Great job. Congratulations to these journalists for doing our bidding."
Yeah, this is amazing to me. This is amazing because it also, who are they thanking? I mean, remember that it's state-run media. Zelensky has removed journalists from the country and consolidated power so that now, of course, the media in the country is state-run. So who exactly are they thanking? They're already doing the bidding of the regime. You're just putting out a nice memo to say thanks for making sure that you're out on the propaganda. What with this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that seems like something you'd want to keep in private, that you have these kind of relationships with the media. But, I guess in this brave new world of propaganda, everything goes, anything goes. So then the question is, why, according to their narrative, if we go with this narrative that Russia did it, or Russia probably did it, or no matter what, it's Russia's fault, why would Russia actually do this? Why would Russia bomb a dam that in territory that it controls? Well, according to all of the mainstream media talking heads, it's to delay the long-awaited, much vaunted Ukrainian counteroffensive, which, if you're listening to Biden administration officials, possibly hasn't started. If you're listening to Ukrainian officials, began on Monday. It's sort of, they're not exactly on the same page. Nonetheless, here's the Wall Street Journal headline from this morning: "Destruction of Ukraine dam floods, frontline cutting counteroffensive options." So there's the Wall Street Journal. That's pretty much the propaganda line. Once again, the Honorable David Patreus chimes in with his take.
Or did they literally blow the dam up, thinking that somehow this might delay the offensive or disrupt it in some way? But I don't think that is going to be the case.
So that's unbelievable. So let me get this right. Wall Street Journal, David Patreus, they're all on the same page on this, which is that the destruction of the dam by Russians was to stop the massive Ukrainian counteroffensive, which they were cowering in their boots about. And so this was meant to stop that. That's the line now that they're giving us. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, Russia did this to stop the counteroffensive that we've been waiting months and months for and has been delayed, and apparently maybe is happening, though we haven't seen any big results. I mean, the other side of the coin, if Ukraine did this, it's not only an act of terrorism against the population of Crimea, which is overwhelmingly pro-Russia, but it also provides, exactly as we're seeing, a great excuse for why this spring and now summer counteroffensive isn't really going so well. Listen to this from former Secretary of Defense under the Trump administration, Mark Esper, saying that it's important that countries believe the counteroffensive is going well in order to maintain support for the Ukrainian war effort.
It's very important. I think Ukraine understands this politically, not just militarily, that they have a very successful counteroffensive that shows people a return on their investment in the Ukrainian military.
So I get it, right? We need to fall for this propaganda so that we continue to send more money and weapons to Ukraine. That's how this all works.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me actually a lot of past wars the U.S. has been involved in. I think of what the United States was telling the public during the Vietnam War when things were going extremely poorly. And then there was the Tet Offensive when the Vietnamese launched an attack that completely demolished that narrative. Well, the U.S. was telling everyone things were going great, and reality was completely a different thing. This is I think even worse, because it's kind of an own goal. I mean, they just destroyed this entire area that the the U.S. and Ukraine are talking about retaking. Somebody destroyed it. I mean, we can't say 100% it was Ukraine, though it certainly looks like it. But they're using that to tell us that the war is actually going great, that this is a sign of Ukrainian strength rather than a sign of weakness and desperation for a flailing regime.
Yeah, it really is. It really is amazing. So I hope people, when they pick up their Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, and they read headlines like "Destruction of Ukraine Dam Floods Front Line, Cutting Counteroffensive Options," or you listen to these yahoos on mainstream media pushing this big corporate narrative all in an effort. I mean, they're all making money off of this war. All of these mainstream media networks are making money off of, just look at BlackRock, for instance, going and meeting with Zelensky, shaking hands with Zelensky in Ukraine. And they now own a 14% ownership stake, I believe it's 14%, of News Corp, Fox News Channel, right? Why do you think Tucker Carlson was pulled off the air? I mean, follow the money, people. Follow the money and listen to them push this narrative for war. It's pretty straightforward, at least in the cynical circles where I swim and where Dan swims. Dan, great to see you. Thank you so much for this. Continue. Don't fall for the propaganda.
Thanks, Clayton.
Thanks. And one of the headlines, the Wall Street Journal headline that we were talking about earlier today, this ridiculous idea that, this is the reason we can't have this counteroffensive.
Yes.
This is the reason we can't do this now, because of the dam that Russia blew up. So they were trying to stop this intense counteroffensive.
Right. Oh, well, we really had them where we wanted them, as Zelensky said over the weekend. But, now we can't do it because of this reason.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.